This is the Tajango, which is North Korean leader Kim Jong Un. The supreme leader rarely leaves his country, but if he does, it is only on the rails in his moving fortress. Here, the train is leaving Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, and its destination is the Vostochny Cosmodrome, a space station in southeastern Russia, where Kim Jong Un met with Vladimir Putin. Kim Jong Un has many enemies. His journey will take him about 2 days, more than 1,000 kilometers, through foreign territory. How does the Tajango provide its security? 2 more trains. One of them is ahead of the presidential train to check the route for threats such as planted bombs or possible ambushes. The other secures the rear of the convoy. It is occupied all the way to the roof with additional security personnel who can rush to the guide in case of emergency. Further support comes from whether the moving fortress will be monitored by helicopters as long as it rolls through North Korea. Transport planes with more personnel will be deployed at airports near the route. The windows of Tajango are bulletproof. The walls and floors of the carriages are reinforced for protection against explosives. The tank train carries heavy guns in carriages. In the event of an air attack, the role of the fortress can defend itself with anti-aircraft guns, and anti-tank missiles and machine guns can be used to repel possible ground attacks. And if all the strings break, Kim can get out of the dust in his personal escape helicopter. Not everyone has a moving fortress to arm themselves against the unimaginable of life. Most of us commute on crowded and delayed trains or ride our bike through everyday life. When there is something that happens, often only the insurance remains. Kim's train is extremely safe, but it is also extremely heavy. That is why the tank train is sailing through the country at a slow speed of 60 km/h, sometimes even slower, because the North Korean rail network is in a miserable state in some cases. Every time the station passes, all other tracks are cut off from electricity. 20 stations across the country have been built for this huge train alone. Because the Tajango is so slow, Kim often spends several days on the tracks at a time, so also on this trip to Russia. Therefore, the Supreme Leader has everything on board to govern his country day and night. A desk, laptop, TV, fax and satellite phone, and a map of China and the Korean peninsula. He had a reception room and a meeting room with a conference table. The interior is a wild mix. Most rooms are all white with shiny hardwood floors. There are green and pink sofas, ivory and turquoise curtains, flower-shaped lamps and zebra-patterned seat cushions. But the highlight of the train is the onboard restaurant. It serves culinary delicacies from Korean cuisine, but also from Russia, China, Japan, and France, so that the dictator does not get bored, is provided with abundant entertainment. The crew on board includes singers who give the dictator personal stunts. The Tajango arrives at its destination station in Russia. Kim still gets on board in a bulletproof Mercedes limousine that drives him for the last 1.5 kilometers. Traveling by train has a long tradition in the Kim dynasty. This is the Kumusan Palace. Here, the bodies of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il are piled up. Beside the remains of the former dictator are life-sized models of their private train carriages, and there is even a painting showing Kim Jong-il posing proudly beside his train. A map with small lamps records the many trips the two have made together. The train rides originally started as a safety precaution. In addition, Kim Jong-il is said to have suffered from flight fear. In 2001, he traveled almost a whole month to Moscow by train, covering a total of 20,000 kilometers. On this trip, he was accompanied by a Russian official named Konstantin Polikovsky, who later published a book about his experience, which made both the Russian and North Korean governments feel bad. North Korea's rulers have always ensured that as little is known about their trains and journeys. It has never been announced when and where they went, and even rumors about the inner life of the trains have been circulating at best. In 2004, Kim Jong Il's train passed through the railway station in the city of Ryongcheon, near the border with China. A few hours later, there is a huge explosion there. About 160 people are killed and another 1,300 injured. Authorities say a train loaded with oil and chemicals has come into contact with a faulty catenary, but there are also rumors that an assassination attempt has failed, which is not entirely unlikely. It is reported that there have been frequent infighting in North Korea for decades. It is said that after the incident, the safety standards of the train have also been tightened. In 2009, Russian photographers were banned from taking pictures of the train. Kim Jong Il was on his way to meet with then-President Dmitry Medvedev, and in Siberia, entire villages were placed under house arrest until the train passed, which is of course not possible and sometimes not necessarily wanted in the smartphone age. The train has long been part of the North Korean propaganda machine. Taeyango means sun. In fact, the train has now developed great radiation in North Korea. Kim Jong Un wants to make it look down to earth and close to the people, as a counter-design to the arrogant US president in his pompous jumbo jet. Either way, it has symbolic character when political leaders are traveling by train. After the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the airspace over the country was considered unsafe. From there, many Western politicians traveled via Poland by rail to Kiev. It soon became known as iron diplomacy. But in the case of North Korea, the Taeyango also symbolizes how exceptionally isolated the country is on the international stage. North Korean rulers almost never leave their country to visit other parts of the world. In addition, it is also a bit ironic that the Kim family wants to use this move to stage themselves as humble and down-to-earth. Every journey has a destination. Kim's Mercedes finally arrives at the Vostochny Cosmodrome. There he is greeted with one of the longest and perhaps most unpleasant handshakes of all time. Putin then gives him the full tour: space station, aircraft factory, Pacific Fleet. After that, there's vodka, a ballet performance, and a walrus show. The meeting has a very serious occasion. At this time, Russia is running out of ammunition and allies in the war against Ukraine. North Korea has ample ammunition and has no scruples about providing it. In return, the country wants technical support from Russia to build new satellites and missiles for its nuclear weapons program. In the end, no official result is announced, but shortly afterwards, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov travels to Pyongyang, where he thanks North Korea for its support in the Ukraine conflict and reaffirms the partnership between the two countries. In return, North Korea officially recognizes all territories occupied by Russian troops as Russian territory. Lavrov would not comment on potential arms deals, but according to the US government, North Korea has supplied Russia with more than 1,000 containers full of ammunition and military equipment. The Taeyango is said to be a symbol of North Korea's strength, but it also symbolizes how isolated the country is on the international stage. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin accepted Kim's invitation to return to North Korea. Perhaps this is a good opportunity to flex with his own top-secret security train.